This is Speak of the Devils on AZ Family Sports.
Welcome to Speak of the Devils, the premier TV show for Sun Devil football. I'm Brad Denny for 3TV and CBS 5.
And I'm Joe Healey with DevilsDigest.com.
And Joe, on the 7th week, they rested. ASU went into a much-needed bye week with chance to kind of recharge both physically and mentally after a rough first half of the season. They're back in action this week, Joe, and they've got quite a test ahead.
This past weekend, while ASU sat at home and watched on a bye week, it had a little bit of a Separation Saturday feel across the Pac-12. Some wild things, some 29-point comebacks, and then you had the game of the year so far in the Pac-12, and the team that stayed on top of it all after that weekend came and went, ASU's upcoming opponent, the Washington Huskies.
Yeah, second time in a month, ASU will be tangling with the number 5 team in the rankings. A lot of challenges ahead for the Sun Devils, but it is the midseason mark and a good time to take stock. Good time to bring back the Sun Devil stock report, where I'm going to throw 6 Sun Devil stocks Joe's way. He will either buy or sell, starting with buy or sell. This is a year 0 for ASU, and Kenny Dillingham and the fans should treat it accordingly.
I will buy that all day. It began with the postseason bowl ban that ASU self-imposed. It also has factors like all of the new players, obviously a new coaching staff. It is just a full combination of elements that when you put that together, you got to have some patience this season. We know there will be no bowl game. The first 6 games of the season have not gone incredibly, but that's still a need for patience. Where the evaluation really needs to start is the year 2024 and beyond with Kenny Dillingham, ASU, in the Big 12 Conference.
All right, buy or sell. If freshman quarterback Jayden Rashad is healthy enough, he should start 2 and only 2 games down the stretch, no matter what.
So with our Sun Devil stock report over the years, semantics are a key thing. So I'm technically going to sell this, though I agree with the essence of the topic. What do I mean by that? I think that he should play in no more than 2 games, but I don't know that I necessarily say that he should start 2 games or 1 game. You got to see what Trenton Bourguet continues to do over the course of the season. If he continues to earn that QB1 position, then you keep that with him. Now then, Jayden Rashada playing in 2 games, let's say ideally, consequently, at the end of the year, you've got Oregon and Arizona. 2 pretty good games to bring in a young, talented quarterback. Let him play in those games, even if it's not as a starter. But by all means, I do not support him playing in more than 4 games to the point that he loses that redshirt year.
Buy or sell. As long as this Sun Devil team continues to show signs of improvement to close out the year, the only win that must be had is against Arizona.
I'll buy that. I mean, it is kind of a tough idea to really have to process that a team could realistically be 2-10 and have that be a season that gives you any sort of satisfaction with bracketed wins to begin and to end the year. But with everything that has gone on, and like we mentioned in the first question, that this can be considered a year 0 of sorts for ASU. If you can end the season on that note with that win, get that Territorial Cup back, that can close the book on the 2023 season and allow ASU to move forward with some momentum.
All right, buy or sell. Arizona State's struggles on the NIL front are the biggest current obstacle to program success.
I'll buy that all day, because the reality of the situation is NIL is the most important thing in college athletics right now. So this is not specific or unique to ASU. If you think about it, the old school recruiting necessities, and when I say old school, I mean 3 years ago, stuff like that, of top-notch facilities, fancy uniforms, heck, even elite coaching staffs. These are things that are less important now than they were 3 to 30 years ago. With NIL in place, that's how you can get talent on your roster, no matter who you are. Now, of course, there are a lot of schools that kind of have them both. They've got the great facilities, they got the great coaches, they got the great boosters, so it kind of makes sense in that regard. But that element for Arizona State, if that is something that the various NIL groups can succeed with, that is the key to turning things around for Sun Devil athletics, obviously largely based in Sun Devil football.
Buy or sell, Joe. The positive rebuild in Tucson right now under Jed Fish can provide a blueprint for the Sun Devils.
Man,
it's a tough one.
It gives me a tough feeling in my soul and in my stomach, but I do have to buy it. I do have to buy it, largely because you think back to where he began with the University of Arizona with that 1-11 season where they realistically could have gone winless, because I think they played a Cal team, right, that they beat that was just completely wiped out by COVID losses and things like that. And now they're trending in a positive direction. They've turned their team around. They play defense now, which is really wild. They may make a bowl game this year. These are just statements of fact. I'm not turning sides or anything like that, but it is a little bit of it creates that blueprint, as you mentioned, because that 70-7 win, it was glorious for Arizona State, ended the Kevin Sumlin era forever. Those were dark days for the followers of the Wildcats, and now they're a little bit happier about things. They're recruiting at a decent level, though they had obviously a significant loss in their upcoming recruiting class a week or so ago. But there are elements of what they're doing that ASU can extract and use for its own success. So yeah, I'll buy that.
All right, so the final Sun Devil stock of the episode, and you mentioned, Joe, this Saturday was kind of a wild one for the Pac-12 conference, a separation Saturday, if you will. So buy or sell. Washington is the clear class of the Pac-12 and will end the conference's playoff drought this year.
Well, we've been doing the Sun Devil stock report on and off for the 12 years that we've had the show. I think for the first time, if this is legal, I'm going to both buy and sell this topic, because I do, and I'll admit that I'm wrong. I was not a big Washington guy before the season. I'll admit they're the clear class of the Pac-12. However, Pac-12 going to Pac-12. There's a half a season left to happen. I think that the last year of this conference is going to end in some wild fashion. Maybe there's some conspiracy theories about Oregon State and Washington State still meeting in the conference championship game, if that's even possible now. I guess it probably is with the time that's left. So I will buy the fact that Washington is the class of the conference, but I think that too much chaos is going to happen, and the Pac-12 will be left out of the playoff somehow.
Who knows? Perhaps the Sun Devils, who have a history of beating Washington when the Huskies were ranked number 5, going to get a little Pac-12 after darky this Saturday and pull up the upset win. Who knows? Things might get weird. When we come back after the break, we'll be talking with a commit of ASU's 2024 class, a coveted prospect, tight end Jayden Fortier. Welcome back to Speak of the Devils. Now, after Tuesday's practice, I had a chance to catch up with 2 pieces of ASU's offense. First up, the focal point of the first half, running back Cam Skattebo, a burgeoning folk hero for his prowess on the ground, through the air, as a punter, even occasional thrower. And then secondly, you hear from true freshman wide receiver Kaleb Black, who impressed the coaching staff in camp and has earned himself a role in ASU's 2 Deep. So coming off the bye, obviously time to kind of refresh, physically. Obviously, guy had a tremendous workload in the first half. How you feeling after a week off?
Good, actually. After the week off was good. Before the week off, I was struggling a little bit, but after the week off, I felt a lot better, for sure.
Was it frustrating at all to, obviously kind of be limited? Coach mentioned, obviously it's dinged up a little bit, but, some illness as well, just to maybe not be out there as much as you'd like to against Colorado?
For sure. I mean, the 2 weeks before that, I played 70 and 75 snaps. So, and then I came in Colorado and only played 44. It was a little drenching mentally, but I understood the circumstances and where I was at that moment during that game, and I just took what they gave me and tried to do my best.
You've kind of done everything in the first half of the season. When you look back at the first 6 games of Sun Devil, what really kind of jumped out to you, and how do you evaluate your performance?
Just the coaches trusting me. They put me in situations, and I've succeeded in most of them. I obviously have to get better every day, but they're doing a great job keeping me in the right position to be successful. Obviously,
the wins and losses aren't where you guys want them, but some close competitive games. What's your take on kind of the mindset right now of this team, knowing that you guys were really close and kind of, as Coach Dillingham said, kind of on the brink of winning, but just once that happens, it kind of will fall into place. But just being on the precipice, not there quite yet.
Yeah, like I said earlier, the teams are getting better. We're getting better. We just have to keep grinding, keeping our head on straight. We can't have guys flare off into different paths. We all have to stick together and continue to get better, even though we understand that the teams are just getting better and better. Everyone just staying on the same page is a must right now.
Going into a hostile atmosphere, what are you expecting, from Husky Stadium, the crowd noise, everything, and playing up a top 5 team in the country?
I'm excited for it. Earlier I was talking to the other guy. He said same question, and I absorb the energy. You can't look at the energy as a negative effect on you. Go in there and treat those fans like they're cheering for the game, not just that team. So I like to absorb the energy and not just look at it as a negative.
When you look at that Husky D, what are some of the things that kind of stand out about what they like to do and some of their strengths?
They're good. They're solid. They're well coached. They got good athletes. There's not really a specific thing that they're great at and they're bad at. They're just solid and are really good.
What are some of the keys that you guys need to pull off and execute to get that win over number 5?
We have to be perfect. We got injuries. We have guys down. The guys that step up have to know what they're doing, and we got to succeed in all aspects on defense and on offense, throwing the ball and running the ball. So we just have to be successful and be perfect almost.
And more positive note, what's it been like just seeing the kind of the fan reaction to you, kind of almost like the kind of folk hero status of just the guy who does everything and really kind of become a fan favorite and just through 6 games.
It's awesome. I love the support. I mean, I didn't realize Sun Devil Nation was this big and this solid, and they got my back through most. That's what I respect for Arizona State fans and everything. So they got my back and I got theirs.
All right, so half a season of college ball under your belt. How do you think things are going so far? How do you make liking the adjustment to major college football?
For me personally, I think it's going pretty well. You know what I'm saying? Getting acclimated to college ball. You know what I'm saying? Getting acclimated to new schedule, new timing. You know what I'm saying? It's just getting acclimated to being a pro.
And then against Colorado, seeing the first playing time of the year, what were some of when you're taking the field for the first time there, what are the thoughts going through your head?
Just do everything, all my assignments right, and play to the best of my ability. There's a lot of people watching, and my coach trusts me enough to put me in the game, so I wanted to show what I could do.
Overall, when you kind of look at the tape, obviously no catches, but when you guys looked at kind of your performance, what did you take away from that?
That you know what I'm saying, I can play in the game for sure. I know I could compete in the game. It was a little fast at first, but then it kind of slowed up for me. So and I don't think I did bad at all. You know what I'm saying? Without getting the ball, I think I still got open. So
so far, you're still seeing time, with the 2 deep and as part of the offense there. Is this kind of what you were expecting and kind of this first part of your freshman year, kind of be a part of this?
Honestly, it's kind of what I hoped for. Not expected, you know what I'm saying? I kind of expected. I didn't know what to expect, honestly, but I knew I was going to work hard and try to be one of the hardest working people in here and get my way up there. So.
Obviously, the win-loss record is not what you guys wanted through the first half of the year. What do you think is kind of like the mindset of the team right now? Going through some struggles collectively. Obviously, injury is a big factor for the team as well. Just what are your thoughts on just kind of the collective mindset and the mentality of this team right now?
I think right now the mindset of the team is just keep working, you know what I'm saying, and tune out all the outside noise because it really don't matter. All we got is each other. And only people that's really gonna care about this is us, so we just gotta keep going to work every single day.
And then position coach Rashad Samples, what kind of impact has he had on you earlier in your career?
He's had a lot of impact. He's been a big help for me as far as like pushing me over that edge. You know what I'm saying? He's been motivating and pushing me so far. So I feel like without him, it'll probably be with him. It pushed me a lot more. I can't find a word, but like you know what I'm saying, it pushed me a lot more to do things that I. You know what I'm saying? I know I could do, but it pushed me more.
What's it like now that you guys have a quarterback? And after the first couple weeks of the season, obviously it seemed like a different quarterback there because for injuries. But now that Trent's back there, what's it been like just him developing that rapport with you guys?
It's been good. You know what I'm saying? Getting reps with him every day, just getting used to it, just getting our chemistry together. It's been good. Getting chemistry in a relationship with a different dude. You know what I'm saying?
When you look ahead to the Washington defense, what are some things that the Huskies like to do that you kind of jump out to on film?
Honestly, they like to play a lot of man, so we just don't have to win our one-on-ones. Beat them that way.
6 games left the back half of the season. What are some of the goals that you've set forth that you want to accomplish by the end of the year?
Hopefully getting in more, getting some more playing time. Hopefully being able to grab the ball, get in the end zone a couple times. You know what I'm saying? Get some stats up there.
Welcome back to Speak of the Devils. Now, on the bye week, it's probably a pretty good chance to check in on ASU's 2024 recruiting class. And one of the more intriguing prospects in that list is tight end Jayden Fortier out of Oregon. He's been putting together a very strong senior season. I had a chance to catch up with him as to why he chose to become a Sun Devil. All right, here with ASU tight end commit Jayden Fortier. First off, some big news recently, elevated to a 4-star status. How does it feel to get that 4th star?
It definitely feels great. Just to know that all my hard work finally paid off. That's been one of my goals since I started high school. Started my freshman year. I've always wanted to become a 4-star and just be put into that elite category. So it definitely feels good. It's a great feeling.
Is that something that, high-level recruits like yourself, put a whole lot of stock in as kind of like a validation, or is that kind of just, a nice to have and kind of, maybe something in the background?
Obviously, it doesn't change too much. I'm still going to be myself at the end of the day, hard work and dedication. But the validation piece definitely helps, just to know that other people are believing in me and think that I'm, a top recruit in the country.
No, you've had a big season so far. Where have you seen kind of the biggest gains and improvements in your own game through the first part of your senior season?
I think the biggest thing for me was just the offseason work that I put in, working on getting faster and more explosive. And I think that pops on film for me, at least. Just Coach Mons has been telling me that I look 10 times more explosive than I did in my junior year film. So just being able to take the top off of defenses and making people miss more this year, running through people, being agile, I think that's the biggest thing that changed from this year to last year.
What have been some of your favorite moments so far this season?
I mean, last week was our homecoming game. We ended up beating a team that we haven't beaten 5 years, 14-0 out. So that was a big game in the rain. Obviously had fun at homecoming. So it was good.
So obviously, you're a guy with a lot of schools coming after you, and you made the commitment to ASU and chose that, the Tempe would be in your future. What were some of the things overall when you looked at ASU, the football program and the school, that made it the right place for you?
I've always loved Tempe, even with the old staff. I thought really highly of Arizona State, obviously, and just the state in general. And then once Coach Kenny Dillingham obviously got the head coaching job, and I saw that the staff that he brought in, I was just super excited. They're all ready to go. And they're excited. They want to be in Tempe. They want to be at ASU, and they care so deeply about their players. Because I was at the USC game, and just the energy that they brought and how they care for one another, and they're one big family. So that's the biggest thing that stuck out to me. And obviously just the situation. Their tight end room is deep. They're all tightly knit, and they're good friends on and off the field, obviously in their family. So I'm excited to join that tight end room.
Now, as you mentioned, your recruitment by ASU started under the prior staff, and now you look over that time frame, starting with that prior staff to now under Coach Kenny Dillingham. How has your view of the program kind of evolved during that time frame?
I mean, obviously they're just way more tight knit, super close. Like I said earlier, they're a big family. Coach Kenny Dillingham, obviously, he brought in a great staff. Like I said earlier, they care deeply about one another. And I think the biggest thing is how just collective they are. It's not, it's about me. It's about everyone in the program. The program always gets put first over there. And that's what I really love, because I'm a team first guy, and I want to see the team win before myself. And I think Coach Kenny Dillingham's doing a great job of that.
Kind of on a similar note, when you get to know Kenny Dillingham through this process, obviously his resume in terms of, being an offensive mastermind kind of speaks for itself. But when you look and kind of, the program that he's trying to build and kind of the vision for the future, what really kind of jumps out the most to you in terms of, what the future could look like here in Tempe?
I've just been watching the games. Obviously, I tune in every week, and just his play calling excites me. Ever since he took over calling the plays, what they've been running and how they're involving the tight end, and obviously just their play calling in general. It's obviously structured around a lot of guys to get the playmakers the ball, but at the end of the day, they're having fun with it, and they're making plays, and they're, having fun. So I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the future, and I'm excited to get down there.
When you're down here, Jason Mons will be your position coach, obviously a legend here on the high school football scene, now in his first year as a Sun Devils tight end coach, a guy that also kind of has a similar offensive pedigree. What are some of the things that kind of stick out about Jason Mons, and what excites you about him being your future position coach?
Coach Mons, he's a great dude, and I think he's just really personable. He understands, obviously, the high school background and how hard the recruiting process is. And, he just never let me lose any faith, obviously. And, he's been a super good dude. And he got to know my mom and my brother, which goes a long way with me. He was actually at our game homecoming week. So he came out here and made the trip out with his wife, Sarah. So it just shows how deeply he cares about not only me, but just people in general, and how he wants to get to know people and make sure that they see the best side of him.
Welcome back to Speak of the Devils. ASU this weekend heads up to Seattle, Washington to face the team that you got it right now, called the top dogs in the Pac-12 conference. That's the Washington Huskies, fresh off a landmark victory over Oregon to put them in the driver's seat right now in the Pac-12. They are led by Kalen DeBoer, who's done an absolutely incredible job these 2 seasons that he's been at Washington. UW, before, they were going to Rose Bowls, even a college football playoff appearance, and then things dipped a little bit, but he brought it right back up. He has a 17-2 record as head coach in his 1.5 seasons at Washington. In fact, they've gone a full calendar year without a loss. Brad, do you remember the last time that Washington lost a game of college football?
I have a vague recollection of some weird shenanigans in the desert.
That would have been last October in Tempe to ASU. Like I said, they picked up that huge win over the Ducks last week. They are guided by the guy that if right now they handed out the Heisman Trophy, he'd have my vote in a landslide. That's quarterback Michael Penix, who came to Washington from Indiana as a transfer. All he does right now is lead the nation in passing yards per game at over 383 yards per game, 20 touchdown passes, only 3 interceptions. It helps when he has what might be the best pair of wide receivers in the country. As a whole, the team averages 44.3 points per game. Tough to slow them down on offense.
Absolutely. And so when we get into our keys of the game, number one is just get to Penix and fast, because he is, as Joe mentioned, probably the Heisman frontrunner at this point. Throws arguably the prettiest deep ball of any quarterback in recent college football memory, loaded with weapons. This is an offensive line that's doing a pretty good job of protecting not mobile Michael Penix. So ASU's pass rush, which has been pretty good, Joe, they need to get after him and quick.
We saw that was the tide turner last year when ASU beat the Huskies. When they got to Penix, deflected a ball, Jordan Clark got a pick 6. That was the turning point there. So if you can interrupt what he does, which is difficult, but that's your way to victory.
All right, key number 2, and the best defense against Michael Penix in this Washington Husky offense is just keep him off the field. So if you're ASU's offense, make sure you're able to sustain drives, and to do that, you got to be able to convert on third down. ASU's probably going to get a little bit healthier on this offensive line coming off the bye week. The Washington defense has not done too well in on the third downs and getting opponents off the field. ASU can keep drives going. That keeps Penix on the sideline.
They're actually struggling a little bit on defense in multiple areas. They rank 8th in the Pac-12, allowing almost 400 yards per game. They only have 7 quarterback sacks as a team, which is really odd for Washington, because usually they get to the quarterback. There are only 4 FBS teams that have fewer sacks than the Huskies have right now. But I guess when you have the offense they have, you don't have to have the best defense in the world to get it done.
Key number 3, ASU just generated 1 turnover over the first half of the season. I think if they have want to have a chance at an upset win, they need to be plus multiple, like +2, +3, maybe even +4 in the turnover battle. Cause that Husky offense into turning the ball over, something that they've not done too well so far this season.
Yeah, you got to steal some possessions. Things got to get weird. You got to have some college football craziness go on in this game, because Washington is simply a highly talented team. So going toe-to-toe, possession for possession, drive for drive is just not a winning formula for Arizona State in this game. So like you said, they got to find ways to get to Penix and hopefully get him to turn the ball over, like you said, a couple times. It just can't be like a 2-to-1 edge. You got to have a pretty big margin there that you have an advantage over Washington.
Perhaps a wild card here. Take advantage of a potential hangover effect. The Huskies are coming off a huge marquee win over a rival in Oregon, a top 10 battle. They're number 5 in the polls. They might be overlooking a 1-5 Sun Devil team.
That is the thing that you got to kind of hope for. This team has been driven. They've been focused. They have made short work over of a lot of teams that they faced this year. And then when things were tough against Oregon, they battled back and won the game. But yeah, if they can be looking ahead to other teams or down the road, that might be able to favor ASU.
All right, so now we're going to lay out our predictions for the game, and I do think that the Sun Devil defense is legitimately pretty good. The pass rush has been pretty good, and I think they'll be able to get to Michael Penix a few times throughout the game, but I just don't think ASU right now has the firepower to keep up with the Huskies. Washington wins 38-21.
I'm calling a 42-20 Washington victory. Huskies are rolling.
Yeah, so we'll make sure you do download our full podcast episode everywhere you get your podcast, and Joe and I we'll be back next week as we kind of analyze what happened in the battle in Seattle and look ahead for ASU's homecoming matchup against Washington State.